One day going down the street, I saw him building a building, and I decided that that would be a good place for a shop. Well, it means everything. It has meant everything to me. It afforded me a way to raise my children, and have an income all the time. It's mostly a service. That's what this is. But I believe that my children and grandchildren had better educations than I had, and so they should have done something better than what I did.
We always thought my dad was rich because the barber business is a cash business, you know. And so he would come home at night, you know, and he used to have a little night tray with his keys and his stuff that he put on. And he always had this big wad of money. When we were growing up, we always thought our dad was a celebrity because every time we went out somewhere, anywhere in the neighborhood, he always knew somebody. So he would always say, oh, I just know him from the shop. So we always thought our dad was a neighborhood celebrity because everybody knew Brown from Sportsman Barbershop, and then he knew everybody else. So that was fun. That was always fun. But one of my memories is he was always chasing me out of here. I wanted to come and spend time here and hang out and stuff, but he always said, no, you need to go somewhere and have your head in a book because you're not going to learn a whole lot of stuff here. But I always thought I learned a lot of stuff here. This was one place I realized early on that a lot of young boys and young men, it's your first exposure to being around other men. And you'd watch other fathers bring their sons in here, and you'd be sitting here waiting to get your hair cut, and you might be sitting next to a postman or a judge or factory worker or a policeman, but everybody would gather at the barbershop.
This man and I have been friends since we were 10 years old. Don't hold my hand like that. But we met each other, I guess we were about 10 years old, in the swimming pool. He and his twin brother. So they kind of took me under their wing, took care of me. Boy, you're old.
You're old, man. We were taking swimming lessons, and he was right next to us, learning how to swim, and all of us were little. You know, we were about 69 pounds, 69, 70 pounds. So he was about my age and my size, so he was just somebody that we started palling around with. 6 years at Jordan High School, and then about 3 months at Compton Junior College. Then he went to the service, and while he was in the service, we wrote him every day, wrote letters to him and stuff like that. So we stayed, you know, he was communicating with us all the time he was gone.
His shop, it looks like you just stepped into a time capsule. And I remember when I was a teenager and everybody was growing big afros, it was kind of tough because a lot of people were doing their own hair. So Dad had years where they were, you know, it was kind of lean, but he wouldn't change his operation here. He always said that service was what was important. And if his customers were loyal, they were going to be loyal no matter what. And ultimately, the styles would change. And he said, I could either change with the styles or just be a consistent good barber, and my customers will come back to me. So I think he kind of always kept it the way he's wanted it, and it's worked for him.
This is a picture of my wife when she made 13 A's in school. It's taken out of the front page of the throwaway paper about 1939 at St. Lawrence Church School. It's a picture of my family, my mother and dad and my sisters and my brother. This picture here is of all my girls. Mary, Josie, Patrice, their mother and me in the middle. This is a picture of the basketball team I was on at Compton College. But the reason, and he and I were only black players on the team. We played basketball at Jordan High School. We graduated in the same class out of high school. And when I made this team, and he made this team, I went in the military before we had our first game. So I always keep this as a memory. Oh, this Charles Sampson, a bull rider. He used to come in here, and when he'd come in here, he would be beat up. He was a little fellow, about I'm small, but he's smaller than me. Anyway, we found out later on he became champion of the United States.
Well, I think it's good for us, for our friends. You know, I think it's a gathering place, I think, because you might see somebody here that you haven't seen in a long time coming here. And then I like to talk to Ted. I come in and sit around and just talk to him. We sit here and reminisce. Nothing like sportsmen, you know.
I think, as he explained it to me, he said he would go into barbershops as a kid or a young person himself, and there would be, you know, a lot of body language and conversations that were, you know, a little off color. And he said, well, you know, if I open myself a shop and I make the point of focus to be sports, because we can all talk about sports. He said, then you have a kind of a basis for what people will start to bring in when they come in.
Things have changed. The thoughts have changed. The thinking has changed. People don't know what our generation went through. They don't even know about the riots, the demonstrations in the 60s. They don't know that. They don't know what black folks went to get where we are today. They don't know. They think it's always was that way. So when we got on our bikes and rode out to the beach, we'd have to ride through these territories. And they weren't as vicious in those days as they are today. They throw rocks at you and call you names. But if you rode real fast, you get past the rocks.
I think the biggest thing about an old shop like this is that it's part of the neighborhood, and it's got a personality. And this will always be Sportsman Barbershop. Ever since I was a kid, when I was a year old, he had this barbershop. So even if my dad ultimately leaves and somebody wants to keep it going, I want him to keep it Sportsman Barbershop.
Well, I'll retire when somebody says to me, boy, you really jacked me up this time. And when I can't see. I'm having difficulty seeing out of my right eye today. But anyway, I don't think I'll ever just quit doing anything.